This week I'm going to talk about Chapter 8 for my interactive assessment. Chapter 8 is about language intelligence and how we learn to communicate in our daily lives, and how it began from the day you're born. You start listening to sounds around you, words. You often connect those to people. That way you can recognize people who are close to you that you feel safe with. Uh, by the age of 1, it's stated you should know 1 word. Age 2, 2 to 3 words, and it was interesting again to me that by the time you graduate, you should know 60,000 words. And in a daily time, I don't use big words. I just use common language to communicate, and I'm not trying to use big words to sound smart. So I just communicate in layman's terms. It is a common word I would use in my job. And I was interested. It was interesting that 60,000 words. I can't even think of 60,000 words, I would say. But they also compared us to how animals communicate, and they also can learn. It may not be by words, but they learn by signs, signals. They were able to teach a chimpanzee sign language. That chimpanzee may not be able to speak, but he knows a certain sign gets him something, or he knows that certain sign uh, means a certain thing, and it could be just repetitive teaching, conditioning that was embedded in him. Yeah, he learned, but was it just an over and over and over thing that kept? But I believe that's kind of how we learn too. If we keep hearing something, we often learn it. I learn a lot better if I see it. Like if I want to learn to do something, I watch a video, and it teaches me how to do it. I learned a lot better in that than if somebody's sitting there trying to tell me how to do it, and then I'll take that video and I'll go try it, and I often do a lot better that way because I've seen somebody do it. I've never been one for somebody to kind of sit there and tell me how to do it. So everybody learns a little bit different, and so I think in Chapter 8 it talked about how your brain develops and how we learn to communicate with people around us, but we also learn to use our thinking skills in our daily life. My job is a detective, and so I'm required to think things through. I might get a case with an unknown suspect, and I have to be open to anybody. Anybody could be a suspect. I can't stay focused. I can't be fixated on one person. I have to be open. In Chapter 8, it talked about being convergent thinking, which is narrowing to the best solution. Now, that will ultimately come within an investigation that I'm doing, but at the beginning, I'll have to stay divergent thinking, which is another thing in Chapter 8. Which means I have to keep open to a number of possibilities of who could have been the individual, and then as I narrow my suspect pool down, then I get to convergent thinking, and I focus on those 1 or 2 people, and then it narrows down to 1 person or 2 people, depending on how many people are involved. And so in my daily job, I have to be able to think outside the box and be able to look at all points of view. When I'm working a big case and there's a lot of people involved, a lot of other detectives or officers, I have to be willing to listen to what they have to say and take it. I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything in this job or any daily life. So it's good to stay open and listen to others. They have knowledge that you may not have. I've been doing this for 18 years, but there's still people that may have done something that I haven't done in this job, and I take their advice and I use that to help better me as a detective in my career. Uh, this class, I'm learning a lot about how we think, how we process information, and I'm also enjoying the devotionals that are mixed up in there to share how God you communicated with us and how we communicate with God. Now, we may not talk face to face with him, we may not hear him talk us back, but he hears us. And so in our daily life, we need to stop, pray, and speak to God, just like if we're speaking to somebody else, because he hears us and he knows what's right. So I'm really enjoying the devotionals in the class. Aside from that, I'd like to take a moment to pray for everybody that's sick, this virus going around. God has a plan. It's not the end of the world. I believe everything's going to be okay. If it is that time, then I'm ready to go to my Lord. Again, I pray that everybody that is affected and is sick gets well, and that anybody that's affected financially or emotionally, that they pull through. And thank you.